Lisa. Welcome to Wandering Heart Knits. Hello and welcome to the third episode of Wandering Heart Knits podcast. I'm Lisa and I'm coming to you from the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island, where I live in a tiny town that is sandwiched between the mountains and the ocean. I hope this podcast finds you well. I hope you have a nice warm beverage to drink and some knitting to do, or crocheting, or whatever your craft is. And settle in and let's have a chat. Super excited to be here. If you have watched my other two episodes and you are coming back to watch this one, thank you so much for being here. I am so happy that you're taking the time to hang out with me. And if you are new and this is your very first podcast with me, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm pretty new to podcasting, so it's so fun to see comments coming in and having this conversation and creating this community. I hear other YouTubers talking about community, and it's actually so fun to be part of this real thriving online community of knitters and creators and makers. It's really lovely. It's Monday, January 18th, 2021, and I've been working. I've been working two jobs. I started a couple weeks ago. I've been working two jobs, so I'm here today on the Monday instead of on the weekend. My kids went out, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to record a quick little episode. It won't be too long today. Still, a good chance to connect with each other. Where can you find me? You can find me on Instagram at Wandering Heart Knits and on Ravelry as My Wandering Heart. That's where you can find me. I kind of try to keep my project pages up to date. I'm pretty sporadic at posting. I'm watching to see if my dogs are gonna bark because someone rode their bike by. I'm not super consistent with posting on Instagram. I try, and then I feel like I don't have a lot to post, and I try. But if you're on there, let's be friends. I'd love to connect with you on Ravelry and Instagram. So yeah, I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is the Fern and Feathers sweater by Jennifer Steingass. It's actually the first knitting project that I ever did. The first one I made and the first one I completed. And I completed it just a little bit less than a year ago. It was in February of 2020. If you watched my first episode, you'll know that I mentioned that I'm not a fan of this type of neckline. First of all, it does seem to pull up a lot and it's a little bit big. So one of you lovely viewers left a comment to say, why don't you pick up the stitches here and do a ribbing neckband? Amazing idea. I'm going to do that. I just haven't had a chance yet, but it is coming. Hopefully this week, actually, because I do really love this sweater now that I'm wearing it and seeing it in the camera. It's very pretty and I would like to wear it. I'm also not the biggest fan. Like, this is a little rolled neckline, and so you can see the floats, and that's not my favorite thing either. So I think doing some 2x2 ribbing. Can you hear that? My dogs are chewing on something crunchy. I don't even know what it is. I should go check. I'm gonna go get it from them. Okay, hopefully that's better. There might not be any more crunching. So yeah, my plan is to pick up the stitches and do maybe a 2x2 ribbing. And I even might do maybe a little bit My plan is that I might even do a few decrease rounds just to bring that neckline in a little bit. So I'm going to play around with it so that I can wear it because I do really like it. It's quite a cozy sweater. It's not really itchy. I can't remember the brand of yarn, but it's a wool blend and it's tweedy and it's pretty. It's kind of pilly too, but that's okay. It's pretty. I don't have any finished objects this week because the two things, I'm trying not to do too many projects at once. And the two projects I'm working on actively are both sweaters, and they're going to take me, just a little bit of time. So if you watched last week's episode, you'll know that I showed off my Leo and Roxy yarn. Oh, it's so beautiful. If I could be a skein of yarn, it might be this, or ball of yarn, I guess. It's my favorite colors, all of them in one thing. And in that video, I wasn't sure what sweater I was going to make with it. I knew I was going to pair it with my Knit Picks Muse in Poetic, it's called. I knew I was going to pair those two together, but I didn't know how. So I went down the Ravelry rabbit hole of fingering weight sweaters, and I found so many. And then I found one that I really loved, and it was the Diamond Lavender pattern. It's a bottom-up pattern sweater. You knit it in the round, and then it has all these little lace eyelet diamonds. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a picture of it because I got, I did my ribbing and then I did a whole diamond repeat pattern. And something was off a little bit. There was something, one of my diamonds was bigger and the holes weren't lining up. So I was trying to make it up, kind of like adapt it on the go. And then I would get to the next round and the one below was wrong. And I was having a really hard time. So I ripped it out and then I tried again and I ripped it out and I tried again. I ended up ripping that pattern, the sweater out for that pattern 4 times and restarting. And then finally on that 5th attempt, it just was not working. Something was off. And I realized that I think for the size I was doing, the numbers were off a little bit, maybe by 1 even or 2. And so it was throwing off the pattern. But I wasn't able to figure out exactly where the number was off. And at that point, I was so tired of spending, an hour and a half in the evening for a few evenings and then ripping it out and doing it again. It seemed kind of silly. So I decided I was going to just undo that whole sweater and pick a different one, which I did. And I'll show you. I decided to go with the Flax Light. And I haven't got very far yet. This is the front you're looking at. So I'm doing my raglan increases and I'm just knitting away on it. It's so beautiful. The way the yarn is coming out, the colors in the yarn are just so lovely. You can see I used the Poetic as the collar and then some kind of random stripes. So I'm basically just placing stripes in, oops, I lost a stitch. I just kind of eyeballed it and thought, oh, a full Poetic stripe would look nice here. And I put it in. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing that. And then I will do the cuffs for the sleeves and the bottom ribbing in the Poetic as well. So that's what I'm working on, the Flax Light. I did add German short rows to the back because, like I said, this comes up a little bit. It's not my favorite. I would rather have my front come down and the back of my shirts come up. So it was maybe an inch of short rows. It wasn't a lot, just enough to give it a little bit of lift on the back. So that's where I'm at with my Flax Light. I'm making the size medium large and my gauge is almost exactly right, which is really fun. I'm actually using 3.5 millimeter needles instead of 3.75, mostly because I don't have 3.75 millimeter needles and I didn't want to go get them. And I know that I tend to be kind of a looser knitter. So I thought I would try that. And the size I chose will have enough positive ease that if for some reason it ends up being a little bit smaller, like a tighter gauge, then it should be okay. I also have 2 daughters that if it doesn't fit me, they will steal it. And that's okay too. Actually, no, I want to keep this one. I don't want them to take it. But my gauge was right on my stitch count for across, and it was slightly off. It was off by maybe 1 stitch in the rows, but I don't tend to follow the rows given on patterns exactly anyways because I have a very short torso. So I like to adapt that anyways. And it will depend on how much yarn I have because I have about 850 yards of this and 423 yards of this. So I'll be kind of eyeballing it as I go to make sure I have enough yarn to do the whole thing. Long sleeves. So I think when I start on the body, I might do the sleeves first. And that way I know my sleeves will be done the length I like. And then if I end up with a slightly cropped sweater, that's good. I'm fine with that. And the other project I'm working on is Emma's Mrs. Weasley jumper. And this is actually a cozy classic raglan sweater I'm making, which is by Jessie May Designs. And you can see, if you watched last time, I had just split for sleeves and done maybe 2 rows, so I've got a little bit more done. This one works up a little faster. It's DK weight yarn on 4.5 millimeter needles. These needles I'm using are quickly becoming my new favorite. They're Knitter's Pride Nova. They're very light. They are metal. It just seems to glide off. I'm really loving them. The only issue I'm having is that I don't have any of those needle toppers to stop my stitches from falling off. I did find a nice little way to do it, and I must have seen it on a video. You just use a hair elastic. You just wrap that around nice and tight, and then that keeps my stitches on there good. So I'm working on that slowly but surely. I will get that done. Her birthday is March 6th, so that is my absolute deadline. I want it done before then, but if I can have it done before then, it will be a bonus. If not, it will be a birthday present for her. So that's my plan. And I wanted to speak to something that I kept getting comments about it. So there were quite a few comments on my first video. Oh, and by the way, thank you guys for commenting on my video and for subscribing. It's so amazing. I'm just really happy that you guys want to hang out with me and that you think my knitting is kind of fun to watch. And so anyway, a few comments, quite a few actually said, "Oh, I can't believe you've only been knitting for a year. You've made so many things. I've been knitting for however long, and I'm not ready to tackle a sweater," or "I can't believe you knit a sweater, color work and steeking." So my advice, I feel not qualified to give advice, but if I was going to give you advice, it's just to do it. Just jump in. Go to your local store, your big box store, craft store, and buy less expensive yarn to practice these things. Make a sweater, find something you love, and just try it. Because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to undo it and you'll have to try again, or maybe you'll decide you don't want to do that and you'll have yarn for a different project. That's my advice to you. Just try it, because you won't know if you don't do it. And how I learned to make this was I watched YouTube videos. We are on YouTube after all. I watched YouTube videos and I practiced and I had to rip things out and try again. And so I think if you approach your knitting as like an adventure and there's no judgment about having to do something perfectly or get it right the first time, to me, it's more fun to try things and to be adventurous, and it feels safe to me to try new things, and I never get upset if something doesn't work out. So that was something I wanted to add in. Also, thank you for commenting. You guys are amazing. I'm just loving being a part of this community. Last week I said I would show you my little notebook and I forgot. So I'm going to show it to you right now because I just looked at it and remembered that I forgot. So I just got these tiny little, they're watercolor, but I wouldn't use them for watercolor. The paper's pretty thin and not textured, but these little notebooks, I think I got 3 of them. They're Arteza, maybe? Yeah, from Amazon. They were quite inexpensive, and I decided that I would keep a little yarn journal. So what I'm putting in here is the name of the sweater, the date I started. I didn't put the date I started for all of them because I didn't know, but now I'm doing that. The date I started, the yarn I'm using, including little samples of it, where I bought the yarn, and any notes that I want to keep on the sweaters. So I've been just putting all of my projects in here. Yeah, it's pretty fun actually. I think it will be a nice way to catalog all of my yarn too, in case I lose a ball band, or I've also added in, you know, the needle sizes and the type of needle and the size of the sweater I made and any modifications I did to that sweater or the item. It's not only going to be sweaters in there, although I do tend to gravitate to sweaters. I just love making them. They're so fun. So that's my little notebook. It's pretty basic, something super simple. I love all the, you know, beautiful bullet journals, but that's not me. This is much more my style. I can just keep it here on my little cart and yeah, access it whenever I want. And then I also wanted to show you that I found this nifty little, I think it's for beads. It was at our local dollar store. And I just separated all my notions and I put all my like things together. Whoops. So I have these, I don't know what they are, but these little things, they're like little, anyway, they're little kind of semicircle things, little stitch markers, and my interchangeable needle things and my, anyway, I'm not doing a good job explaining. You understand by looking at this if you knit. They're notions. So handy. I can see exactly what I've got, what I need, where it is. Sits on my little cart as well. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is that I got some Happy Yarny mail. The first thing is this. I'm just gonna grab all 3 because they're so gorgeous. Oh, look at these. I'm going to show you them up close. This is by Ravenswood Fiber Co., which I believe, oh, Nova Scotia, Canada, it says right on there. So it is Canadian dyed. This colorway is called Fireflies. It's 85% merino, 15% nylon, 400 meters per 100 grams. Oh, it's so beautiful. One of the really neat things when this yarn comes is it comes vacuum sealed. So they each came in their own kind of manila envelope, flat, and then you open it and you cut it open and it goes and fills back up with air. And they're all slightly different This one seems to have a little bit more of the lighter blue. Oh, I'm really excited to knit with these. I almost put my other project to the side to knit with this, but then I realized I have a lot of time to knit. I have all the time I need. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this. For now, it's gonna sit here waiting for its turn in the project queue with its friend. This is another, whoops, Ravenswood Fiber Co. yarn called Behind Closed Doors. Super beautiful as well. I have 2 of those. Very excited. Very, very excited for those. Whoops. And then I got these little beauties. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. These are my first minis. I haven't had any minis yet. This is a set from, excuse the crinkling. This is from, is it yarn.com? Webs? Yeah, Webs or yarn.com. It's Cloudborn Merino Superwash Sock Twist Mini Set in the colorway Blue Jay. And it's super cute on here. It says made with love in Peru. I love it. Each one of these is 80% superwash merino and 20% polyamide. And there are about 115 yards per hank or skein. Ooh, they're so beautiful. So there's this like gray and then kind of a baby blue, robin's egg blue. The lighting's not 100% wonderful right now. And then a little bit of a darker purpley blue. Kind of a dusty lavender, and then a magenta-y color. Again, the lighting's not super great in here right now, but you get the idea. And I got 3 of these, so that's what they look like inside the plastic. They're so pretty. And I have an idea for these, kind of doing a marled fade. My thought is to do, like, say I start with this dark pink, do 2 of the dark pink, 2 strands held together, and then transition to 1 strand of each of these, then 2 strands of this, and then 1 strand of each of these into 2 strands of this, and then 1 strand of each of these, you get it, 2 strands of this, and then 1 strand of each of these into the final 2 strands of this. And then I'm not sure if I want to repeat that pattern or kind of do it in big enough blocks so that I use up all of what I have in each block. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my vision for it, is to have this marled fade. Yeah, what do you think? Would that look good? Do you think a marled fade would look nice in a sweater? I'm a sweater girl. I thought about making a shawl and then I realized I will never wear it. It's not a thing. My job, I don't sit at a desk. I work at a high school. I'm moving around a lot. I often sit on the floor and do work with some of the students that I work with. So I don't want to wear something fiddly. And to me, I feel like a shawl might be fiddly. I just think it's not my thing, and that's okay. So I think I'm gonna do some kind of sweater fade. Maybe a cardigan. What do you guys think? My other thought was to just do each of it with white, but now that I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. I think the other way would be nicer. How about you? What do you think? Maybe another Felix sweater, because that didn't use that much yarn. So I'd have enough, because I have about Well, I have about 1,600 yards, just a little bit less than 1,600 yards. Oh no, 1,800 yards. Can't do math. So that's definitely enough for a sweater for me. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling. I just really love these. They're sitting, I'm going to put them in this fish bowl so that they look cute. I might even like layer them on top of each other so that they look pretty until I'm ready to use them. Again, I want to abandon my project and start this one, but I'm trying to kind of monogamously knit. It's not, because I already have 2 projects. Actually, I have 3 because I still have my blanket that I'm working on. That's okay. So yeah, that's what I've been working on and what I had to show you for this week. Yeah, it feels nice to connect. I think I mentioned at the beginning that I started a second job. So I've been doing some respite care for a family in town, and that's been really fun, but this week was very busy. I started working Sunday night, and I worked all week at my regular job and at that other job all weekend. So I'm a little bit sleepy today. I'm ready to knit and relax. I'm gonna watch my favorite YouTube podcasts, one of which is Knitting Traditions. I just saw she posted a new episode today, so I'm gonna watch that and relax. And that's about it. How about you guys? Tell me below, what are you up to this evening? How are you doing? I'd love to hear. What are your suggestions for my Blue Jay fade yarn? Tell me what you're working on so I can go check it out and where to find you, because I would love to connect. And I think, friends, that is it for today. My dog's finally settled. It only took 14 takes of this video to get them to settle down. Yeah, I hope that the rest of this day treats you well. The rest of this week is good, and you get lots of time to knit and craft and do all of your favorite crafty things. And I will see you next week, hopefully with more progress on my sweaters. And maybe a new sweater started. Maybe. Okay, until next time, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.